guys, welcome back to the crew Wildrun, driving all cars part number 55. Lamborghini Aventador LP700-4. 700 horsepower 4-wheel drive. That's what this thing has available. Pretty decent response by the first looks here on the full stock. Let's see, it comes with a performance and a drift spec. Not sure about the drift spec. If I'm not mistaken, it has 7 gears, but although I'm not 100% sure there. I think the performance one does have 7 gears, but not so sure about the drift. Usually the drift specs with 7 gears are not that superb. You're constantly fighting with the gears. 3rd gear, 4th gear, even going down to 2nd in some of the corners. And it's also a bit heavy and wide to turn it around. But we'll see that later. First take a look at the performance spec. Bit sliding here, and yeah, that's what you're dealing with here. We are dealing with a certain weight, over 1500 kilos if I'm not mistaken, so but it's always do a quick test to see if it suffers from it, giving oversteer, understeer, that kind of thing. But first things first, the acceleration tests here. Due to the weight and all, I'm not expecting it has power, so what I'm expecting is quite some wheel spin here and more aggressive looking performance spec, some carbon here and there. Other than that, official colors, official rims as always on my cars. It probably doesn't have a bad acceleration in general, but it's well, it's just not. And that's what probably will come back with this car. Just not fast enough in acceleration, just not fast enough in top speed to make it one of the better ones. And well, it is one of the better ones, but to make it top of the bill, let's put it that way. .5 is sort of in the middle of the pack, above average acceleration though. We have a lot of 23-second cars. LaFerrari does 22.5, so we are talking about 1 second slower. But on the other hand, you have cars like the Cadillacs and stuff, they are doing 25 seconds. So let's say 23 is above average, 24 is below average. And then we have the top of the bill, and those are 22 or even 21-second cars. We will see once we have tested them all. Oops, it's a bit stiff. Yeah, well, that's not really stiff. It's just a bit slower response, and that's mainly because of the weight, I guess. Something smaller will react a bit quicker. On the other hand, it is a Lamborghini, and yeah, also this one, Lamborghinis in this game have pretty good brakes. That's always handful. But it slides about a bit. Some corners probably a little understeer, some corners a little oversteer. But in general, it doesn't handle that bad, given the weight that it has. We've seen cars suffer here on this section, cars that were a bit on the heavy side. This is also on the heavy side, but this one with 700 horsepower or even more in performance spec, seeing that it's a bit tuned. It has the power to pull you out of the corner, so, and other than that you can throw it in. And since it's 4-wheel drive, it does have the traction, and that's helping you. It's helping you pull you out of the corners, although it might slightly under or oversteer somehow. So good help from the traction, and a bit of nitro can also help, of course. So it's not like it is a minus or a plus, but it's not really suffering from the understeer or the oversteer. It's just something that you have to consider, that it will break out occasionally or that it will go straight occasionally. Top speed wise, well, that bump was a bit heavy, but we are going towards 400, so top speed is good. So is the brakes and the traction. It's not like it's doing 410, so I'm not really going to mention the top speed as a plus. Meanwhile, we tested a bunch of cars and there are quite a few that can do 400 in performance spec. Brakes and tractions are more or less a plus. Minus, well, I would say just not. I mean, just a bit too slow on the acceleration side, and that's what probably gives it a little problem keeping up with LaFerraris and Huayras. But handling wise and all, it's kinda okay. The drift spec, I don't know for sure. I don't have that at 1299, but I have used it before. Was an I think it was an Italian qualifier, so we could only use Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and then you have not that many options for the drift trial. This one, the Murcielago and the Ferrari 458, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think any of the other Italians have drift specs. And then you're gonna end up with the Lamborghinis though. Either this one or the Murcielago. For the simple reason that the Ferrari is really suffering from the 7 gears. 7 gears in drift are not that, well, advisable, let's call it that. The better drift specs are 6 gears. But this one is, although it is heavy and it's white, and but yeah, also a BMW M5 is pretty heavy and white, and that's also one of the better drift specs. So for Italian qualifiers, which we sometimes have, it's been a while now, but there has been, and then leave the Ferrari be and go for one of the Lamborghinis. As you will see in the next video, also that one will work, which is the Murcielago, one of the next videos. I'm doing all the Lamborghinis now, so it will pass by one of the next hours or days. There has been some sort of maintenance, and if you go a bit too fast into the summit events, you are suffering from this black screen. But it doesn't last, so I'm just gonna let it run just a few seconds longer than it normally is for the loading. And somehow they also messed up their ranking, it seems. I'm in 3rd place overall in this summit qualifier, and I haven't done any free drive stuff. Free drive stunts, free drive challenge, or PvP, the grinding events. I haven't done any of them, and by the looks of it, they don't count for the ranking anymore. We sort of started noticing it in the previous qualifier, and it's probably something they did with the maintenance. Is it supposed to be like that? I don't think so. Probably bugged something, or they're doing a test case for maybe they are going to remove those grinding events, of which a lot of people are a bit complaining about. Some of this is supposed to be a competition, as mentioned on the website, between players to test your skill against each other. Doing a Friday free drive challenge, driving from point A to point B, there's not much challenge in that. Everybody can do that, everybody gets the same amount of bucks if they do the same route, so there's not competition in it. And then people saying, yeah, but bucks the bucks. Well, you can do it in free drive. You can do a free drive challenge in free roam, but doesn't have to be within the summit. That's my opinion of it. But probably will something that I don't think it's the test case. They probably messed something up, which makes the ranking a bit, yeah, kinda normal, I guess. You have the skilled players on top now, instead of the grinders. That's how it goes. Meanwhile, we are still going here with this, doesn't seem to suffer that much from the 7 gears. I think it has 7 gears. Some of the cars with 7 gears, they are kind of short shifters, and that means that you are constantly fighting with the gears. 4th gear, 3rd gear, and Doesn't seem to be the case with this one. Just keep it in third, and this one is not at 12.99, so for sections like this uphill, if it is 12.99, it will pull you up there. Now I'm a bit flicking it about to get it up there, but that's because my car is not at 12.99 yet. All my cars are, except for some of the drift specs, which I hardly use. In drift I use the Mazda RX-7 if it's available. If not, well, yeah, then you have to look for something else. Like disqualifier, we can't use Japanese cars, so I can't use my Mazda. So I went for the Dodge Charger, I believe, 1969. But meanwhile, by doing this test, I want to part again, and eventually we'll get them at 12.99. I'm not gonna spend my bucks on upgrading these drift cars, since I only use a couple. Other than that, I have all the cars at 12.99, though. Although in other specs, it's also not advisable for some of the cars. But this is a pretty decent car. It's just a bit not too fast, a bit not too acceleration wise too fast, and top speed wise also just not good enough. Although it's among the better with top speed, but the acceleration is the biggest problem if you want to go race against Huayras and LaFerraris, and yeah, then you have a problem with this one. But it's definitely amongst the better ones. But